Is the bird the word?
It could be. So I actually, all right, like break this down for me, Tommy-sama. I want to hear the story because we saw the first channel, which
Yes.
featured strange old men in a strange old cave.
Yeah, actually, that was an old, or that was the newer one.
That was the newer one. Okay, so
Yeah, the one before that did not have
okay,
that.
so walk me through this because I remember you put some school projects on the first one or the second one, or both.
I have the old. No, just the first one.
Okay.
Or the second one.
So
The school project is on the more recent one. Or the last video I posted was a year ago.
okay, all right, I remember because we've talked about this before. And then you made the video where you're like, okay, I'm going to do stuff on this channel now. And I think the last time we talked about it, you said it was because you put some school stuff and you kind of wanted to separate that.
No, I think it was just kind of a rebranding thing. So, for the viewers at home, the first channel was in fact called Legit Gamer.
I remember
I
that.
made that when I was like 13, and that was my gamer tag for a bit.
That's
And
so
my
meta.
friend, well, one of my friends was like, "Hey, maybe a rebrand." And I thought about it. I'm like, "Yeah, because Legit Gamer sounds like I made that when I was 12," which was basically true.
But think about the merch deals.
Think about it. Girls don't want to go out with a guy whose gamer tag is Legit Gamer. They obviously would much rather go out with someone whose gamer tag is Saint Athanasius of Alexandria, so I can flex my church history muscles.
You'd be surprised how many women
Yeah,
would love an Orthodox
agree
man.
Absolutely, I would agree
Ladies,
with
just
that.
so you know, I am Orthodox Anglican.
Suddenly, that's what gets this channel off the ground. Bring back Tommy. Can we have an AAA Ask an Anglican?
Ask someone who's nominally Anglican. And
Right.
by nominally, I mean I'm very. My friends will joke that I'm 80% Catholic, and I guess that's basically true.
That's where Kyle's
Whether I
at.
can sign the Westminster Confession or not, I don't know because I haven't read it.
What do you mean? I sign things I haven't read all the time.
Hey, me too.
I'm pretty sure, like-
That's why I have student loan debt.
I was gonna say, I'm pretty sure like 7 people own me in the state of Nebraska.
That's bad because it's Nebraska.
Right?
Actually, I drove through Nebraska, and it's not that bad.
I've been through.
I stayed in Nebraska on the way out to grad school.
Oh, okay. So I have not been through Nebraska. I've been through North Dakota, which I don't know how different that is.
Probably very different.
It's on the same belt,
I bet someone's offended by that.
probably. Ryan, are you offended by that?
That's right.
I think maybe the producers might, but
Yeah,
Right.
Ryan's from
you
Alaska.
don't pay them. No, it's fine.
Well, welcome back to another episode of Just a Podcast. Today is a special episode, being that we have another guest that isn't Ryan or Connor. This is our-
Ryan and Connor.
I love those guys.
I think only Connor probably really knows who I am.
I think Ryan does too.
If I know I've had conversations with Connor because church,
Right.
but I
right.
know Ryan also was there too.
I feel like everyone just kind of knows Ryan by reputation. He's kind of a legend.
Yeah.
We have this running, like it's canon on the channel that Ryan Fricks.
Man.
I think if I still have it, I'll just put it up. But we have a sticker.
No,
We have an image of Ryan, and it just says "This guy Fricks."
oh man.
That thing has been passed around by us so much. So I kind of had a topic in mind for today, but seeing it was going to be on like world building because I was going to do this as a solo podcast. But since you guys are my players, I mean, that's up to you. I mean, we could definitely talk about it, and you guys can ask me questions since we're kind of at like the midpoint. And I guess everything leading up to is fair game. And if there's a question you want to ask and I can't answer it, I'll just let you know. But also feel free to chime in with whatever else you want.
Awesome.
All right. Well, let's get right into it. I wish I had transitions, just me doing a dumb voice. like instead of YouTube chapters, it's just a chapter, and it's like, oh, welcome back.
We need to have commercials.
Oh, just pre-made commercials in the middle of it.
Yeah.
Like the way Critical Role uploads.
That's on the podcast that I used to do, which the last episode came out 5 years ago.
Whoa.
Wow. Because I have the hashtag SaltyC is the new channel that I thought about re-uploading, but it's like kind of silly videos, and then some podcast episodes, and then just kind of stupid meme videos I thought of while sitting bored at work.
That's how this one started. I think my first ever video was a Macho Man.
Was it your Macho Man?
Yeah, Macho Man Returns.
Yeah, I remember that.
I think it's still up. It might not be. It's not down, but it's unlisted, so anybody can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people liked it. They thought it was really funny. I remember
funny.
I went and got pizza one time, and the guy at the desk was like, "Hey, are you the guy that makes the Macho Man videos?" I'm like, I don't like that you know me.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Dude,
Oh, go ahead.
I'm
I'm
looking
sorry.
at numbers. Sorry to totally sidetrack.
No, it's fine.
Side rail, but I'm like looking at my YouTube just because I have the videos up, and I'm like, one of them has almost 5,000 views.
Oh wow.
It's a 13-second video.
That's like, I think Chris has one on his channel that's it's about that, and it's the Demon Core short he made. It's all those. It's okay if you haven't seen. It's alright if you haven't seen it. I don't understand science, so I didn't watch it. Sorry, Chris. I just outed myself.
I'm in the humanities, so like, I am legally not allowed to hang around STEM people.
Does Chris count as STEM?
Because they bully me.
They're too smart. Their intelligence blasts me. I take psychic damage every time I'm around a smart person.
They're just like, oh yeah, well we do math with letters, and I'm just like, I can read Greek. I bet you don't even know the name of these freaking letters, and they're just like, oh yeah, well, science, and I'm just like, stop it.
You might be able to read Greek, but I can count with it.
Shut up.
Oh,
At least I don't need a calculator to calculate my freaking HP and D&D.
Right?
No, I know at least basic arithmetic, and I can solve for X.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I'm at. I'm actually pretty good at geometry.
I don't think I could even solve for X.
You just tell the X to go away, and you don't owe them child support.
Oh, you know what? That's a good. See, I usually just move.
Exactly.
Change my
That's the
name.
solution.
Grow a beard.
Change my name, get a haircut, grow a beard. All right, well, let's get into a little bit of, as we said on the last episode, table topping, city popping. So I just want to start off. Do you guys want to? I don't know if Angel's talked about this yet, but do you guys want to talk about like the characters you're playing?
Yes.
All right. You go first, Angel.
All right. So, we're just gonna go like full on ham spoilers right now, because you know what? Why not?
Oh, is this spoilers for me too?
Yeah.
Just not my character in game.
Yeah, exactly. It's
Okay.
spoilers that I don't think your character would care about. Then again, I don't know much about your character, so maybe we're about to find some stuff out right now. But
All right. Yeah.
okay, so I'm playing a fairy. His name is Mallory. I'm using the fairy stat sheet from 5e, but the only real difference is, I guess, just flavor stuff. He's a Junimo from Stardew Valley.
Okay.
And I was wondering about if he should be able to take on the form as the Junimos do in that game. It's just those little bean-shaped guys. But I don't know. I was wondering about that, but I don't think I'll do that.
We talked about that for a while.
Yeah.
I just want to cut in real fast with a little bit of lore.
You're good, fam.
We discussed that back and forth a little bit because as we go on in this episode, you'll find out that a lot of my lore is very different. And when we get to the the Dark Souls / like Elden Ring, the From Software world, you guys will realize that a lot is different.
Ohio.
Yeah,
Ohio. Yeah.
Ohio. So I think as you decided more and more, I think I just decided that, like, well, the area you're from, where the Junimos live, is just tied to the Feywild, so fairies would be able to come through.
Mm-hmm.
And you just are known as Junimo there. So if you met a fairy somewhere else, they could very well be known as a fairy, but be the same race as you.
Yeah.
And that's not to take away your individuality as a character. That was just...
Oh, man, I'm cool.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And it's like, because they could all look different.
Yeah.
You can get little pixies that have square-shaped wings like Fairly Odd Parents.
Mm-hmm. There's also, on the stat sheet, it says some fairies can have like feathered wings.
Mm-hmm.
And then I don't know why it's on the table. It's so weird to me, but some can also have insectoid legs.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay, sure, I guess. So basically, he helped build the community center in Pelican Town, which has a different name that I won't reveal. Well, that's not really a spoiler, but whatever. So Mallory helped build the community center, and so he is, I think he's like 400 something years old. I think he's actually 420. I think I made him 420.
Nice.
So he helped build it, and then Morris?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Morris, the guy who runs Jojakor, he came around, and he's like, oh, I want to demolish it. And I don't remember, did he actually succeed in demolishing it?
No.
No, he didn't, just the forest? Pretty
No,
much.
so...
He committed minor deforestation.
Yeah, you guys were able to drive him off, and then, well, he went and joined up with another guy. Well, obviously, you guys saw in the last session, he joined up with Arstotska.
Yeah. And apparently a dragon. So that's cool.
That's who that guy was.
Yes.
Yeah, later on, when you guys are done, I'll explain what that was about and where that came from.
Okay. Also, while you're talking, Kyle, can you potentially send me the map that shows where my character is, and also maybe remind me where my character is technically from?
Oh yeah. Okay. I'll get that going. Go ahead and keep going, Angel.
All right, yeah, I'll finish up real quick. So basically, it's Mallory's goal currently to kill Morris, so that he can go back to his lovely girlfriend Clarion and his best friend Dewey, because that's all he wants.
Yeah.
And so a funny thing about me as a character maker or whatever, I'm really bad at coming up with names. So I think every single character I've ever made has a name from some form of TV show or video game or movie or whatever. So Mallory, he comes from the Tinkerbell movies. He's the Lord of Winter. And Clarion is the queen of just everything else. And I think they're in Neverland. Yeah, pretty sure. And then Dewey is a writer and a librarian. So
see, I was thinking Malcolm in the Middle.
That's funny.
Future's
Man,
now, old man.
Yeah, so I don't know what Mallory's gonna do after he kills Morris, because I definitely want him to kill Morris. I was thinking of him being like, getting there and gonna kill Morris, but then being like, you know what? Because of you, I went on this journey, and I made these friends. So honestly, I should be thanking you, but don't come back to wherever and then leave him. But I was like, no, everyone does that. That's so like overdone and cliche at this point. I'm just gonna kill him.
I think sorry, I'm finding the map. Oh hey, here it is. It's in the conversation that you and I have with each other, but I will forward it one more time.
Okay. Please.
I'll forward it for the last time.
Oh no, it's not. It is not a problem.
Your last message that starts with "not a problem."
Yeah, that sounds like Kyle.
I like to be pretty amicable. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so it'll be in the
That's the Irish Protestant.
it'll be in our conversation. That's funny. Yeah, I remember. So you guys probably, I think next session, Tommy hit with the ship cannons.
Mm-hmm.
He's probably dead,
Just immediately.
just out the gate.
Oh man, can I finish him off?
Well, I don't know, because so there's a chance it'll hit him, or there's a chance it'll hit the dragon first.
Fair enough.
But we'll do you have anything else you want to add before we?
Yeah, basically just I don't know what Mallory's gonna do after he finishes his goal. I kind of want him to leave, but that's only because I'm so excited for my backup character. Like I love him so much, and I want to play as him so badly. But I'm thinking that I'll wait until we somehow get to where my backup is from. And him, I want to keep in the dark because it's a type of character I've never played before in my entire life, and I'm so excited to do it. Because it's going to be way, like, out of character for me. So that should be fun.
Trying different RP roles.
Yeah, pretty much. Like, the exact opposite of Mallory, pretty much.
Oh man! No, I'm excited because I want to see you be the opposite of Mallory.
Yeah, so I'll keep him in the dark for a while, but he's definitely coming. I love him so much. But yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
Okay, Tommy, you want to tell us a little bit about your boy?
Yeah, my boy. If you've ever seen Berserk,
I was so ready for Chris to play that character.
That would be kind of fun to do, like a Guts character. But I've also never watched or read Berserk. I just know he's like...
Neither have I.
He's basically like sad boy barbarian.
Yeah, he's a Dark Souls strength strength build.
Yeah, but you got to put sad boy in front of him.
Right.
And that's all I can tell from literally all the memes I've seen. So, sorry, I never put away my character sheet from last night, so it's just all like on the floor next to my desk.
No, that's fine.
You're a true 5e player.
Oh yeah. And I also have a new desk coming tomorrow because you guys have seen pictures of my desk. My computer takes up my entire desk, like little setup.
Oh yeah.
So I have nowhere to actually set homework down and work on it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just like, hey, Amazon exists, and I have tools to put to screw on brackets. So
right.
I did that. Then I can finally do homework in my room and not on the kitchen table.
Yeah, man.
Be
Hop on
distracted
over to
by all the
IKEA.
Where everyone's watching you. What are you doing,
Yeah,
Tommy?
Kyle, how did you get here? No, so my character is Ren John Mark. The general idea I had for him was I wanted him to be kind of a Christianized Ronin, because I just had the image in my head. I'm like, that sounds like a really cool concept.
Mm-hmm.
I think I'm doing kind of a very meh job of RPing what I think a Christianized Ronin would be.
I feel like that's not your fault, though. I feel like that's mostly just the stuff I've thrown at you guys. But I think once we get to other areas, that'll be able to show through a lot more.
Yeah.
It's also tough being online because there's a very slight delay, so we end up talking over you a lot.
Yeah. So yeah, he is a custom class that I like to say I'm beta testing for Kyle, called Paragon, who's basically like a holy warrior, but not paladin.
Yeah.
It's also really funny that I now just have a gun.
Yeah. I thought it was so funny that you bought that. You're like, yeah, no, I want this.
It is also, yeah, it's my fault that I bought it, but I'm just like, hey, that's kind of cool.
And, I mean, it is cool. You basically have a Necron cannon.
Yeah, and it's been really useful. But I think and now I also captain a ship, which is really funny.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ren John Mark, comes from the Dragon Kingdom. I forgot if we determined what part.
I
I'm just
left that
gonna
one
say
up to you because it is
Okay.
3 very separate regions, but they all do kind of work in tandem.
Okay, I was gonna say whichever one got like conquered the most recent, because he's a Ronin, and so I like to think that his master was like killed or something.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
So
I sent
I don't know the lore. Right?
there was a little bit of lore I sent you, but I didn't elaborate on it very much.
Mhm.
There's a good chance that your master is still alive, but because
Nope.
the monarchy and political system of the Dragon Kingdom was overhauled, that could be another reason. Like a lot of samurai are Ronin now, and so there's a lot of other paragons just out in the world as well.
Yeah. And aren't they
There,
kind of? Oh, sorry.
no, go ahead.
I was gonna say, didn't you tell me that paragons are almost like a stuff of old legend? Like you don't really see them, and when you do, people are like, "Holy crap, that's a paragon!"
Yeah, basically.
So I thought they. It's like almost kind of like how in Star Wars, like when people saw Jedi's, they're just like, "Oh my gosh, Jedi's are real."
That's it's very much it's as if the Jedi Order crumbled, but not because of Order 66.
Okay.
That's very much how the
Order 67.
yeah, exactly.
Order 69.
That's how the that's how
Order
you guys
15.
Order 15. The when the Order sort of fell apart because the Dragon Kingdom unified, that's why there's a lot of them. A lot of them just either aren't in the Dragon Kingdom anymore, or just went out to space, either by magic or through spell jamming or whatever. So, but it is true, yeah. If someone comes across them, and the only reason no one's ever been surprised by seeing you is because you guys have been on a continent that is not very heavily populated. And like I said, when we'll get to that in a second.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, Rengen Mark. Yeah, I guess that's basically he's basically my Christianized Ronin, because I thought I had a cool picture in my mind of kind of like Musashi from Vagabond, but also with a rosary. And I'm just like, and I like the kind of, he's kind of slightly Christianized. He's still very Japanese, but he's just like, I like some of that funky music, white boy stuff. he likes some of that quirked up white boy stuff, I guess.
He is quite. I believe one of your bonuses is goated with the sauce.
Oh well, yeah. You see, I put that in personality traits.
Corked up and goated
And
with the sauce.
ideals.
Oh man! As a bonus action, you could bust it down sexual style.
Thanks, melatonin. Very cool.
No cap. Oh man. Okay, cool. So, was there any more you wanted to add, or?
Not fully. I guess the last thing is I'm still trying to properly figure out how to RP the character. Part of it is kind of situational, but part of it's like, hold on, I almost need to get to like the samurai mindset, whatever that means. So I need, what's the Bushido code? So I gotta go like read and meditate on the Bushido code
There you go.
Yeah, and
for a week, so I could just get into that mindset.
Yeah, do it before every session.
right.
Yeah.
And I think
I'll just, from here on out, I should just do that. Like after my scripture reading, I'll just go read the Bushido code.
I definitely feel like
read my Bible in Japanese now.
Yeah, there you go.
I definitely feel like as we get further along in the campaign, you'll have more and more opportunities to show that side of Ren, especially because you're definitely kind of figuring out, because you were just kind of thrust into this adventure with all these other random characters, and while they're all trying to figure out what that means for them, you're trying to figure out what that means for you, and you know this magic like school teacher just keeps showing up and whisking you guys away to other places because it's like, no, that's where you need to go, children. You know.
Thanks, Walter.
Yeah.
Arigato, Walter-sama.
No, that's a good segue into why you haven't had an opportunity to do that. You guys are on a continent called Minar, which I will throw the map up, and so that originally had a bunch of different moving pieces of it. That in and of itself was originally a whole campaign that I wanted to run for whoever, and then I just made it part of the bigger world. So it was originally going to be this sort of zombie apocalypse type story, but instead of zombies, they were mutated soldiers who went and made a deal with like this evil hag, and the one that lived in the ravine. So like that little witch you guys killed. They all the soldiers of the land basically went and or most of them made a deal with her, and she's like, "Hey, you want to get stronger?" And it was basically trying to mass create super soldiers, and that turned them into these evil dragon monsters. And I think Lox actually still has a vial. So Chris's character still has a vial of the stuff that made them. Because he just picked it up and nobody ever identified it. But
I wasn't there for that fight.
That's true. Okay, so that was the time.
That's why I was confused when you're like the hag, but then last night you're just like, oh yeah, almost a zombie apocalypse. I'm just like, hold on, what?
Yeah. So you remember that horde that attacked you guys at Concilio University?
Yes.
That was the horde of like scaly evil creatures.
Okay.
You guys outran them, and what would have happened was
Cadillac Escalator.
Yeah. you outran them, but they would have eventually followed you around the world, or just at the same time spread out to other parts of that continent, and just either thinned out the population, or everybody would have just started hiding in these old monolithic structures across the continent, and that was already kind of in the process of happening, but you guys got rid of that threat so quickly that people are still trying to adjust to that, and also the spires just lighting up randomly every couple days, like from the townspeople's point of view. And then once you lit them all, this dragon just descends out of the sky.
Oh wait, did we ever? And sorry to interrupt, but
no, it's okay.
What's with we never went to the Earth Spire, right?
No, so I wasn't sure.
I noticed last night you mentioned that after the after our artillery strike on the Sea Leviathan, like you said, oh hey, all of the beacons. You can see all of them. I'm like, hold on, why is the Earth beacon lit?
So the Earth Spire actually lit up as you guys flew past it. But you guys were going too far away. You were going too fast, and it got lost in hindsight as you guys made it to the Water Spire. And that was the group that Walter had sent to go and find it, because there was the library adjacent to it. So what had happened was, in that cavern, they had found a pathway to the Earth Spire, and they just handled whatever was in there.
So if we went into the cavern at the college, we would have eventually gotten to the Earth Spire?
No. So...
Oh, different cavern?
Yeah, different cavern. That would have led out at a... what I just called the anti-zombie building. If you basically Google, it's like I think it's a coal mine in Japan. It's just this really tall building that has these square-like stilts it sits on. And for a long time, it just got passed around the internet as like, this is the anti-zombie fortress. It would have led you guys out there, and you would have had to fight off a horde.
Oh.
And or keep fighting off a horde, I suppose. And probably would have not lost players, but definitely lost some NPCs in the process. That was kind of the turning point, and until the wizard summoned his Cadillac Escalade. It could have gone either way. It could have gone, you're surviving in this dragon ghoul apocalypse, or you're just gonna go light the spires because you're that powerful. And that originally came from that was the story. It was just going to be about a group of survivors from a couple different towns going through, figuring out what they needed to do, realizing, oh hey, if we light the spires, that would have converged and blown up the witch's hut. But then it would have summoned the Arstotzkan military, who were like, hey, you guys look like you've had a really bad time. Why don't we come and help you rebuild? But slowly took over from within. And then they would have had to go fight those forces. And then turns out the dude's like into some dark magic and calls out the Shadow Dragon. And that's what showed up.
Games till they call out the Shadow Dragon.
Yeah. And it was based off a Minecraft survival map, so the Shadow Dragon was supposed to be like the Ender Dragon. But I took it and retooled it for your guys' purposes. And so that's where you guys are now. You're about to fight Morris riding the Shadow Dragon. So it's a little more of a watered down version of that, but just because you guys went through and just did really well handling whatever I threw at you.
Sorry, I blanked for a second.
No, it's okay.
The awkward side. Sorry, I'm looking up copies of the Bushido code.
No, it's alright. This episode's sponsored by Amazon.
Yeah, there you go.
Thanks, Jeff. Very cool.
No, go ahead. Sorry.
Oh, sorry. I found a copy of the Hagakure.
Oh, okay.
Cool. I don't even know what it is. It's a practical and spiritual guide for a warrior, drawn from the collection of commentaries from this frickin' nerd and this other nerd.
Oh yeah, buy that.
Another thing you could do is watch the old Mifune movies, like Rashomon and Zatoichi. Yeah, those are. I think that would be cool. That would really draw some inspiration. That's kind of I did peruse those a little bit when I was building out the Dragon Kingdom.
Oh, nice.
I also watched The Great Wall starring Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, so that's kind of where that continent is. So once you guys handle that, you'll probably just be taking off pretty soon, because now you have a spell jamming ship.
Nice.
So it's actually up to you guys. You could just be like, no, we're gonna stay here. But it really kind of depends what you guys want to do next, and what this encounter with Morris, how that goes down, and how Mallory's feeling, and how everyone else wants to try and handle that, because it's kind of the most present threat. Mm-hmm. Because you guys haven't really come across like a BBEG yet, or Big Bad Evil Guy for the uninitiated.
Okay. I was sitting here thinking, I'm like, BBEG.
No, I learned that one when I first started playing 5e. They kept throwing that acronym around, and I'm like, I really hope this isn't like some innuendo I'm missing. And then I had to Google it, and they're like, oh, it stands for Big Bad Evil Guy, which is usually the main villain of a campaign. I'm like, oh, okay, cool. And then I went down a bit of a rabbit hole, and I found like a funny enough, like not a hate thread, but just like a Critical Role criticism thread about how they felt Campaign 2 didn't really have one, and it just kind of got shoehorned in. But I don't know if you guys are into that, or if anyone watching is a fan of Critical Role. And if you are, I apologize. I'm not hating on the show. And yeah, no, I just I remember reading about, because I think the animated series had just come out at the time, and
the animated series follows Campaign 1, yeah?
Yes. I remember our old 5e group was really into it. They'd really like watching the series. And I remember them talking about how they liked the first campaign more, and I think one of them even said something about, like, well, yeah, I've rewatched Campaign 1 so many times, and I think I've only watched Campaign 2 once. I was like, okay, cool. Personally, I like the cast of Campaign 2 more. Sorry, it's the same cast. I like the characters they're playing in Campaign 2 a little more. But I've perused it, and then Campaign 3 I'm enjoying a lot more. It's more funny.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I've listened to any of Campaign 1, but I've listened to Campaign 2 because they what was the goblin's name?
Oh, Not?
Not, yeah.
Yeah.
Not was funny.
Yeah, not was really funny.
And I also liked the darn, who was the half orc fighter?
Oh, Ford.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Ford.
he was a Hexblade Warlock and then a Paladin.
Oh, I didn't know about that.
Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't.
Just remember that the. No, it's fine. Because it's been a long time. I just remember that he had the Texan accent.
Yeah, that was really funny. Yeah, I remember the campaign.
His horse is named Shelby.
Shelby. I could just see that too. I missed a lot of it because I remember one time I was house sitting and I would just have it on in the background while I was doing other stuff. So I remember I looked up one day and I'm on like episode 40 and I'm like, I don't remember episode like 3 through 39. But I was like, I guess a lot of that information's in the back of my head. Cut to Angel, who's like, no, I don't.
I never watched any Critical Role at all.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just too long. D&D is a hard thing to watch,
Oh yeah.
but it's so much fun to play.
Yeah.
I think Dungeons and Daddies is a lot easier because it's a lot funnier, and the episodes are only about an hour and 20 minutes at the longest.
Yeah, I think that's a good length, but like Critical Role is like what, 4 to 5 sometimes.
It's 3 to 4 on
3 to
average,
4, yeah.
and then the longer episodes run pretty long.
Yeah, it's like that's
I remember.
just-
Oh, sorry, you go.
Oh, it's all right. I was done.
Oh.
I was finished.
I remember I was on a flight to Tennessee, and I think in one of the layovers about 4 hours, and like the entire time I was listening to just Critical Role, and I got through 2 maybe 2.5 episodes.
Nice.
And it's like, all right. I think, and my sister is just like, oh man, I got through like so many podcast episodes the entire time, and I'm just like, I got through 2.5.
Yeah.
Yeah, because they're like 3-4 hours long each.
Yeah.
She's like, what? And I'm like, yeah, I don't know.
You just
I don't
gotta,
know, man.
you just gotta make that mindset a grind set.
Exactly. Yeah. I think I should remind myself of that because I'm in graduate school now.
Just say it's to one of your professors and just see how they react.
Get out of the school, Tommy. So here's something funny about grad school, or not funny. So in undergraduate, what's considered a full course load is 12 unit hours.
Okay.
Okay. And I'm trying to think of how you compare that to high school. But I wouldn't, because you can breeze by in high school. You can kind of breeze by in undergrad depending on what you want to do after.
Right.
So for full time at where I'm at in graduate school, and I think other graduate schools might be different, but I believe full time is considered 8 to 10 unit hours.
Okay.
So full time is considered less, but there's a lot of work, and I'm doing 14.
Holy
Ooh.
crap.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Are you
that's
just
pretty
trying
much
to?
whatever-
No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
And I'm like, it's because I didn't know what full time was considered. So when I've been hearing some of my classmates and housemates are just like, oh yeah, I'm doing like 10, 8 unit hours, I'm just like, are you gonna graduate in time?
So are you taking such a heavy course load because you want to graduate quicker, or is it more that's just what you have to do based on the nature of your study?
Well, it was mainly because I thought, I don't want to, because I'm at a little bit of a setback because I'm restarting one language and picking up another. Right. Yeah, so I did a year of Hebrew. I didn't keep up with my vocab, and so I can't get into third semester Hebrew. And I also, if I somehow got into it, it would be not a very fun time.
Right.
Because I'd have to be having an open lexicon with me the entire time, and that's not fun. So I'm like, all right, I will restart Hebrew, and and I'm starting Greek at the same time.
Oh wow.
And it's also it's so Monday, Wednesday, Friday. I have Hebrew at 8 a.m. and then right after that, I have Greek. So I have about 10 minutes to switch how my brain thinks.
Yeah, jeez.
You poor man.
I think. Well, yeah. That's. Oh man, I couldn't even begin to imagine how that would go, because they're both so different. Like, one is backwards. Like, sorry, it writes the other way than we do.
Yeah, it's not very hard to, at least for me, it's not difficult to confuse them, or it is. No, I don't confuse them is what I'm trying to say. It's like I won't confuse concepts from one to another because they're so different.
Right.
And with Hebrew, I already know. I took a year of it, and like I took an exam on Wednesday, so yesterday as a time of recording. And I took that, and I looked over the study thing, or like the little study sheet for the exam. I looked over it once. No, that's not true. I think I technically looked over it twice. But it was one of those I looked over, I'm like, all right, cool. And like that was easy, because it's like I already know all this stuff. Greek, on the other hand, that's kind of kicking my butt at the moment, because I'm like, I need to like after this, I'm gonna probably. This is kind of gross. I haven't showered yet, so. But after this, I'm gonna be probably studying Greek for the next few hours after this.
Dang.
Jeez. I'll be just mapping out your guys' next thing.
I'm gonna be playing RuneScape.
Tommy's like, I don't want to come back. You guys are mean.
I wish I could I wish I knew Japanese well enough to where I could just have anime on in the background.
Oh right, so you could still like kind of soak it in.
Yeah, I
that's
could
every
if I
man's
listened to
dream.
an English dub, but I don't want to do that.
Yeah,
Right.
No one should have to put
'Cause there's not
themselves
a
through
lot-
that.
There's not a lot of good ones.
Yeah.
I actually really like the dub for My Hero.
I don't mind it. It's actually like one of the better ones. Yeah.
Yeah, I've heard worse.
Oh yeah, and that's. Did any of you guys watch a certain magical index?
I haven't gotten around to it, but I keep finding it.
Yeah, I think you would. I think you would really like it. It's maybe you. I think they did the show dirty because it has kind of a lame. The writing wasn't the greatest. But the concept is really awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the light novel, like, I don't want to believe that the light novels had as poor writing as some of the show. Not the entire show was bad writing, but there's definitely points where it's like, this is just so bad.
Mm-hmm.
But then they did a spin-off series that the author did of the light novel called A Certain Scientific Railgun that just followed a side character.
Oh,
and
okay.
just like, hey.
So I've heard of that, and I didn't know that was a spin-off. I thought it was something. I thought it was just another series that has a similar title.
Nope, it's connected. It just follows someone who is a minor character from Index. Who she's a repeated minor character.
Oh, okay.
I don't want to call her a side character because no, she shows up and is important in the story, but not always important in the story, but in certain story arcs she pops up. And then they did a spin-off, a manga spin-off actually. So Index was a light novel series, and then they did a manga series for Railgun.
Okay.
And it has a way better production value. And I'm a little ticked because I'm like, why did they? And it's like it has better writing, it has a better production value. But I think the concept is nowhere near as cool as Index, and so I felt gypped. Also, a lot of people, at least when I started going down the anime rabbit hole, they're just like, hey, I recommend starting with Railgun first, and then watching Index, because it's Railgun's a little easier to get into. I found the opposite to be true. It took me a little bit to get into Railgun, because I'm like, yeah, this is interesting and whatnot, but there's something about like the intro. I'm like, I'll still keep going with this. But I'm like, because I'm enjoying it, but it's a little. I wasn't hooked the first I wasn't fully sold the first episode. Where on Index first episode, I'm like, this is really cool. Oh yeah, I remember I was talking about dubs. That's why I brought that up. Yeah, the dub is just awful.
Oh, okay.
That is an example of a really bad one, and most dubs from like the early to mid 2000s I thought were also really bad.
Yeah, it's weird. So I kind of like half grew up with anime, so I always I was exposed to both sides of it, but I never understood how much I enjoyed the Japanese version more until I was about like maybe 15, 16. And then I started realizing like I would watch the Japanese version and then I would watch the English version just to, because I started noticing like when you put subtitles on a movie, it was always different than what the people were saying. And I realized that's just how they just translate different and then they localize it. I didn't realize localization was a thing. So I watched stuff in English and it just felt so bland. There were some things
just don't. The way the voices sound for me, I just intuitively I'm just like, that's wrong.
exactly.
Voices should not sound like that.
It doesn't.
I feel that.
Like you'll see one thing and there's a character who's got a voice like, "Yes, I'm gonna go to the store and purchase some bananas." And then when you hear the Japanese version, it's like, "I'm gonna go get bananas." I'm like, yeah, that's more fun.
Yeah, and then the facial expressions match up better in the Japanese. Like,
Well, because it's it's made in shop at home,
yeah, and like I really don't like the way like the female voices, the female English dub or like voice actresses. Not saying they're all bad, but
Right.
I mean, but there's something about just the way Western voices are in comparison to Japanese voices, where especially on women, I found out it's like, or feel of like, this just doesn't sound right. This sounds completely off.
Well, and they all feel like the
incorrect.
same too.
Oh yeah, that too.
It's three tones of the same woman.
Yeah.
It's serious, way too high, or like kind of uppity.
Yeah, and it's.
And I was like,
And then there's the. Oh, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say, I feel like there's just more than three personalities for a character.
Yeah, and then the way they butcher the Japanese pronunciation so much.
You either get people who put way too much effort into it but still doesn't sound right, or people who are just like, nah. And then here's my jelly donuts.
Ash, my jelly donuts.
Yeah.
So one of my housemates is a big fan of Sailor Moon, and he also really likes SAO, and I forget other one, but so he like sit in the living room, and while reading, he'll have the dub of Sailor Moon playing.
Ooh.
And I actually really want to watch or read Sailor Moon, just because it's a classic basically, and I'm like, and he has the entire manga series, so I'm like, I'll just have to go up and take the first volume or borrow the first volume, not take it.
Yeah.
Right. See that
he let me, so that's cool. But like, just I have like ingrained in my mind now their butchered Japanese pronunciations of names.
Yeah.
Unagi, and I'm just like, ugh, stop.
Right.
What's wrong?
Unagi, because they're all from the Midwest.
Or Chibiusa, I'm just like, stop. I know that's wrong.
Yeah.
It's
or Masamune.
and then they leave off the honorifics, and then they'll like, and if there's a conversation about honorifics, it makes no sense in the English.
Right. They just like put in something else about, I went shopping today. Like, what? Weren't we just fighting a dragon? Yeah, and then I bought this bag of fried chicken, and that was really good. And then, like, blah, 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 blah. And they have to, like, blur out the subtitles. They just put in random sound effects.
Oh man, and it was in teasing Master Takagi-san. There was a bit where they're talking about honorifics and dropping it, but like actually the English dub does a good job of keeping the honorifics in. So they kept the joke, or not the joke, but the whole situation with it to where it made sense. But still, but some of them don't. Some anime doesn't do that, and when they drop honorifics, they don't realize that no, that's a really big deal. I don't know necessarily how it actually is in Japan, but at least from what I understand, and from anime, dropping it's a kind of not the biggest deal in the world, but it's like why do you assume we're close all of a sudden?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's pretty similar. I've seen in a lot of. From what I understand, sometimes it just kind of devolves is too strong a word, but it sort of changes into nicknames, or because like a lot of people, their names with kanji can be read differently.
Yes.
Which is the weirdest part for me to wrap my head around. I still don't have a full grasp on it, but
I don't either. It's
like if my name,
I'm looking it up and I'm like, this is weird.
Right, like if my name, so like Kyle, I think is Gaelic for like stream or water or something. But so somebody could call me like if they understood that and say my name was written out with characters that meant that, like like river that moves through valley, they would call me like lake or river or something, even though my name is Kyle. It's stuff like that when like you come up with nicknames, and also just like sometimes people they'll just put like kun at the end of stuff, and that's semi informal.
Yeah.
But yeah, a lot of times it is nicknames. Like I've seen people like, oh, you have a goatee, so I'll call you like Beardo, you know?
Yeah, like something interesting with, I guess another example. So Thomas actually comes from the Aramaic, which is basically Thomas, which means twin. So people call me Twin technically as a weird nickname.
But you're not a twin.
You're right. I'm just a twin with Jesus.
I absorbed it in utero and made its power my own.
Because it's interesting, and you'll read in the New Testament, I think in John's Gospel, where it mentions Thomas called the twin. That's kind of a nickname because Thomas in Aramaic means twin. But in the Greek New Testament, the word for twin is Didymus. So I could technically be called Didymus.
But you never miss.
Did I miss?
That's terrible, Kyle.
I know. I'm the DM. I can say whatever I want. I've seen Tommy fire off the Topaz Annihilator. He never misses with that thing.
I totally never missed, especially in that first fight. I haven't crit failed, so that...
I don't like crit fails because I don't like the idea of now you have to go through the rest of the game with this character that's missing an arm.
Oh, but it builds character.
It does, but it doesn't. And here's the problem: is a lot of it is to my discredit. It's coming from a group where, like, combat wounds were glorified. Where like, okay, cool, I'm gonna roll. I just swing my sword at it. You swing your sword, and it digs in, and it screams in pain as like gored viscera wrap around the blade as it carves deeper into this person's skin.
Viscera count.
Yeah, and I was just like, no, I just like swung the sword like as a warning. I wasn't okay. Isn't he wearing armor? Yeah, but like it's armor made of like flesh. I'm like, okay, whatever. Can I go home? You know. So that has kind of discolored my taste a little bit. Not that I try to treat the game with kid gloves, as obviously you guys have, like, you know, killed a lot of crazy monsters, and have just done terrible things. But I definitely try to keep it more. Like it's for me. I Connor and Ryan put it in really good words. It's very story based and almost cinematic.
Yes, that's a very good way to describe your campaigns, and it's fun.
Thank you. I'm glad. And I just try to keep it that way because like I like what you guys do story wise, and then for me combat wise, it's the only way I could really understand math. So that's why combat for me is a little crunchy sometimes. It's very very number driven. So it's like, oh, this thing is looking bad because you just did this much damage. I also don't want to get bogged down describing stuff over and over again because I also want to let the players do that. So the other day, like it might not have been a big deal, but when I was like, oh, it's like a Necron cannon, that might not have been what you were describing because you and I could see necrotic energy very differently. So for me, I could be like, oh yeah, the gun shoots out like this giant green, like electrifying arc beam of necrotic energy that just turns everything into black dust. Or for you, you could be like, oh, it shoots out a bullet that makes the thing get diseased, you know?
A bullet that has a skull and crossbones engraved on it.
Right. The way it should be.
Leviathan, this bullet's got your name on it.
That's really funny that you bring that up because Connor is playing a pirate in the Zelda campaign.
Ooh, okay.
So I don't know if we've ever talked about the Zelda campaign with you. I think have I just mentioned that I'm running it?
Yeah, you've mentioned that. Hey, this is a thing that exists.
Yeah. Because we've been doing that again. I think we've ran like 2 or 3 sessions. But yeah, Connor's character is a pirate, and he has. It's funny, like every campaign I've ran, you guys have just ended up with a ship. Because I think we got like session 3 with the Zelda campaign, and they got the boat back, and they were like, okay, cool, let's travel the world and do boat things. They have stuck to that world a lot more though.
Okay.
They got off planet once, and then went back very quickly. They were very scared of what was out in space. You guys are a lot higher level though than they were when they went out there. So I think if you guys were to go out into space, it would be a lot easier. You also have a ship that's armed to the teeth.
Yeah, that helps. And then maybe we'll go and look for the space One Piece.
Oh my gosh, that'd be so funny.
Okay, so here's how we will introduce Angel's backup character. So after we kill the dude that is like Mallory's arch enemy, Mallory's gonna be like, all right, I must go back to my people and live a quiet life. And we'll be like, darn, but respectable, because every warrior fights for peace.
Right.
We're like, okay, later. And then, so we fly off into space because we're looking for the gum gum fruit or something. And basically our introduction to Angel's new character is just going to be like how Usopp was introduced into One Piece.
Right.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Oh my gosh. So it's funny that you bring up One Piece because in Zelda they recently came across what I like to call Kyle canon in that version of One Piece. I did it that way because I originally, after 5e, I was going to run a One Piece themed campaign for whoever wanted to be in that one. But I realized Chris really wants to read One Piece, and Angel's currently reading it. I'm pretty much caught up, but anybody who else is, like, that's like 30 years worth of manga, and, just as much anime. So, I don't want to spoil it for anyone. Yeah, exactly. I don't want to spoil it for anyone. So, I was like, okay, well, I have this theory about how this worked out, and if it's wrong, that's okay. But if it's right, I wonder how this could work out, like how the beginning and the end of this can work out. So I just kind of retooled it. 1, because I like to do stuff like that, and 2, so I could run a campaign that doesn't technically spoil anything for you guys. Mm-hmm. So in the Zelda campaign, they were fighting Connor's, like, basically his arch enemy. And as they were doing that, things were looking bleak. So Ryan did that campaign's version of Divine Intervention, and one of the crews from that series, but my version of it showed up and is now sailing with them. So they just have these One Piece characters that are just following them around the Zelda world.
Yeah, I still need to read. I think I'd rather read One Piece than watch it, because I watched part of season 1, and like the whole Usopp intro arc, I felt like lasted way too long.
Yeah.
I'm just like, this fight on the beach doesn't need to last 5 episodes.
No, it really didn't.
It is way easier to read than it is to watch.
Yeah. It's
And
also way
that's
more
what I was
enjoyable.
thinking. Yeah, like when I was in undergrad, when I was oh yeah, thou shalt not name names. But anyway, when I lived on campus, when I when I actually lived on campus, the first university I went to for undergrad, because transferring out, my RA was really into One Piece, but you would never know that when you met him. And he was telling me I think we got back from like a Thanksgiving break or something like that, and we're like, oh hey, how's it going? Hey, yeah, and he's like, oh yeah, me and my brother, we were just like watching One Piece like the entire time. I'm like, oh, and he's like, yeah, but while we were watching it, when we had it on the screen, I was just reading the manga because I got through it faster. So I'm like, all right, Andrew. Sorry, name dropped, but
No, it's okay.
He probably forgot I existed.
What was I going to say? Oh, Angel.
Turns out he's your top patron.
Right. Dude, I love Just a Podcast. How dare you? Angel actually recently went through One Piece. You want to, like, I think, what did you do, like, the whole series in like a month to catch up?
I read the entire series, start to finish. Well, that's not true. I started.
Up to one.
I started.
I was gonna say up to which chapter?
I am caught up currently. So chapter 1050 something, right?
Yeah. So you're actually ahead of me.
Maybe it's 1060 actually.
I stopped at 1050 just to do other stuff, but I think you actually went a little ahead of me.
Yeah. I don't remember exactly what chapter, but I didn't start at chapter 1 because I already read the first couple of arcs not when they came out, of course, but when I was younger. I probably should have reread them, but I mean, I don't know. There's so many like flashbacks that you don't even need to. So I finished it, or I didn't finish it. It's not over, but I got caught up, and holy crap, I love it so much. It's up there with Dragon Ball. Yeah.
Right. I just realized that I can actually, via Viz Media, can have a subscription to Shonen Jump.
Yep, that's where I read it.
Yeah, I have it. It's I think it's worth it.
I think, because I read a lot of manga scanlations.
Yeah.
And I feel a little bad, especially for the ones I really like, because I'm like, I want to give this author money so he can keep making stuff.
Right.
Yeah, I'm reading Naruto on Viz right now.
Nice. Yeah, because also scanlations are technically illegal.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they're never made well, in my opinion. It's always like
sometimes I think the fan translations are better.
Very rarely for me.
It depends, and for me, it's usually how they translate certain things.
Yeah. I think. Sorry, No, go ahead.
Oh, I was gonna say not that I'm able to go back to the source and read the Japanese. My Japanese is reading is absolutely abysmal. It's that I recognize very little here. I know what hiragana looks like. I could hardly tell you what any of it said. I know N, or because it kind of looks. Or hold on, because it kind of looks like an N or an H.
Yeah.
I know the hiragana for no.
Right.
Like the no sound.
Yeah, the little circle looking thing.
Yeah. And that's just because of how many times I've seen titles for anime or manga, and I'm just like, oh, and from the time when I'm like, hey, I'm gonna learn Japanese, and I'm like, oh, learning a language takes a lot of discipline.
Yeah, Kyle and I took a Japanese class in college.
I think a formal classroom helps a lot.
Yes, that's why we dropped out when the big bad struck and we had to go online.
When the big bad evil guy arc happened.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah, and some people say that arc still hasn't ended.
We're in the post arc where like we're just dealing with the
Yeah,
with the sub factions.
Oh yeah. Well, although luckily I think the sub factions at this point it's like we're a little better now, but
yeah,
for a while that
chilling.
it was you know the history of Japan?
Yeah.
It was worse.
Right.
It was worse. It was worse than when all the warlords are fighting for control.
We just got Scorsese'd.
Yep. I'd like to retake the class if I could be in a classroom again.
If you just go to the college that we are both thinking of, it's dirt cheap.
Yeah.
Yeah, I should do that.
And
If not free.
And our teacher was hot.
Yeah, she was.
That helps a lot too.
I want to
see,
learn
all
better
my
so Sensei
teachers-
will notice me.
You see, all of my teachers are like old men.
That's rough,
No,
buddy.
not all of them are old. But actually, it is kind of funny though. All of my teachers are male at this moment. Not the case in undergrad though. When I was finishing up, I had two. I was taught by two scholars, and they were both brilliant and whammon, if you could believe it.
Oh, I can.
Yeah.
All women
Also,
are brilliant.
It was
For
like,
reference, viewers and listeners at home, that was a joke, albeit potentially unsavory. I do not think less of women, just so you know, because I realize that
I think
people
about women a lot.
could- dude, me too.
I don't think
It's
less
almost
of
like
women. I think more of women. More than anything else I think about, in fact.
Particularly of the anime variety,
Yeah.
or is that just me?
No, it's not.
You're among friends. Somehow our father's gonna come across this, and I'm gonna get that phone call like, "You're so stupid." It's like, why can't you be normal? Like, I don't know, Father. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. Watch anime.
Yes. Well, Father, maybe if you had a waifu, you'd be happier.
You'd have a waifu.
If no waifu, why live lifeu?
No waifu. No reason to continue lifeu.
I kind of want to call this one Waifu Quest featuring Tommy-sama.
Do it.
You should.
Because
That's great.
we talked far more about anime than TNT.
No, it's okay.
It just shows where our minds are at right now.
It's,
Well, it was like either listen to me spoil half the campaign or no, anime's cool.
oh man. And I don't get to talk about anime with a lot of people very often, so
Oh well, good thing we have a show for that.
exactly. So I know that you guys always have the little thumbnail that one of you creates. I assume Kyle does.
Usually, we split it up pretty evenly.
Yep.
Okay.
I've made 2 of them.
Okay. And so my big question is, like, do you make, like, those little avatars for everyone?
I used to
Or...
until they changed the
Okay.
system over.
Oh, okay.
So
Um,
the problem now is, hang on, buddy, why are you barking? Hey, come here, bud. It's okay. The problem I run into now is because they changed over to 3D. I have some old ones that I could throw something together with. Or I could just like try and put maybe I have one that resembles you, and I could just like make it a crude. Put your face over one of them.
Or, because I was gonna ask Mike, because I know you like to put the guests in the thumbnails. Should there be guests?
I do.
So I was gonna be like, are we just gonna do the Maxor picture, or?
Oh my gosh, that'd be funny.
After all, that was just a picture of me last night for D&D.
I think yeah.
As a- as-
I think it'd be really funny if we just get her, just put her over a sticker body.
Yeah. Or yeah. Although that character was not in the first episode of Student Council's Discretion.
This sucks.
I don't know when she
Who did
shows up.
this?
I think I'll look through some and
I don't.
yeah, no, I'll do that. That's funnier.
You're, or you honestly, you can just throw up a random VTuber as well.
Right.
I like Gora for reference.
I don't know who that is. I don't watch any
You don't?
VTubers.
I've only watched like I think a recording of one of her streams once. I think it might be a little. I don't know if it's bad that I'm like I kind of want to go and watch some of their live streams.
No, it's fine. I don't have a
watch
problem
the,
with people that do. I just don't do it myself.
Yeah, and you just judge everyone else who does.
Stop.
No, I'm kidding. But I think I would rather watch the because Hololive has like an actual English cast.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I think I would rather watch them than the Japanese because I would know what they're saying.
Than the Japanese.
Yeah, because they don't have subtitles.
Right.
This is understandable.
And I watched one of I'm gonna send you a picture. I think you've definitely seen pictures of this character.
Oh,
Probably,
probably.
right.
Can you find it?
I did. I mean, else there. You definitely. I'd be surprised if you
Yes.
haven't seen pictures.
Yes,
of this.
absolutely.
Oh,
I
okay.
have.
Yeah, I've seen this one floating around.
Yeah, I watched one of. Yeah, I think it was like a recording of one of her streams once, and I'm like, I don't really care to watch live streamers because they don't always just play video games, but there's only a handful of things you can do
Exactly.
while live streaming.
Yeah.
I
And it's either
can't.
just interacting with chat or playing video games, or
Right.
interacting with another person interacting with chat. It's either like a radio show or you're playing video games.
Yeah, I can't really watch streams because I want to watch someone doing something, but they always get interrupted by either a donation or a new subscription, and a lot of people decide to read those out loud, and so it's like they'll be talking about something and I'm really interested, and then you hear the little ding, and it's like, oh, thanks to
Dirt47
Yeah.
for donating 2 bits.
and then sometimes they read out their little comment that they wrote as well, and it's like by the time they're done with that, I've already lost interest, and in certain circumstances they've forgotten what they were talking about, and so they just go on and talk about something else, and it's like, no, finish that thought you were just saying. I was really invested. So watching live streams is not in the cards for me.
Yeah. One of my friends and I thought about doing like a live stream like radio show.
Yeah, if it was like
we thought about-
specifically centered around interacting with chat,
Oh,
then I'd be able to watch that.
Yeah, like Q&A.
Yeah.
Like Q&A
Especially
would
if
be
I were
great.
in the chat as well and I could also interact, that'd be fun.
Yeah. I think
Yeah,
like a live form Q&A would be a ton of fun.
yeah, ours would be it's. So it's funny. I very much wish I was an apolitical person, but I realize I'm not 100% in the sense that I sometimes have an idea what's going on, and when I do, I have an opinion. I wish I didn't, in all honesty, but maybe it's probably a little more responsible of me saying, for at least kind of knowing what's going on. Although I am not registered to vote in the state I'm currently in.
That's right. I forget you have to re-register when you move.
Yeah, you do.
I'm not
and
registered.
I also still have I need a new state ID or driver's license too. And a new state license plate for my car.
Oh my goodness.
And I realized I'm like, oh, I need to work on getting my change of address.
Yep.
I'm like, crap, how do I do that? I'm like, oh yes, pay stub. So I had to go into the software that I use for payroll for work, and I'm like, oh no, how do I update my address in here? So after poking around for like 10 minutes, I finally found it. I'm like, sweet, update. I'm like, all right, now I just gotta wait for a few pay periods to go by, and then I'll I mean, I don't think I need to even. I don't need to update any of like my driver's license or car registration until around December. So I'll probably procrastinate on it till then. Because that's just what you do.
Yeah.
Hey.
Wave, please. I when I moved, I had to change over, and I moved literally just across the street. But I still had to change my work address and my insurance address and all that garbage.
Yeah.
Now, luckily, I didn't have to get new plates or new license or anything because, same state. But I still haven't done my change of address. So any, not junk mail or subscription-based mail is probably still going to my old house. So I need to go to the post office and do that.
Yeah,
I just
need
haven't.
to. What was I gonna say? Oh, I probably should update my billing address for like PayPal and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's funny. I made an online order a while ago, and I just so I have my shipping address like generally defaulted to where I am now. But I never changed the billing address. So when I got when I did like the rundown for the bill, it said, it was like, oh, taxes for your billing address, and so it's like I had to pay specific state taxes.
Oh wow.
Because my billing address was for that state,
Oh,
Yeah.
but my shipping address wasn't, and so I'm like, that's weird. Oh well,
That sucks.
I still haven't changed it, but I
Yeah.
probably should at this point.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, things are getting
'cause-
kind of hectic over here, and
Oh,
we've
yeah?
gotten way off topic anyway. So we'll probably have to end the podcast, but we can still keep chatting.
Okay.
So Kyle, will you run our outro?
We don't have an outro.
Yeah, I know. I just wanted to see what you do.
Okay. We usually just keep talking and just end the audio randomly.
Oh yeah, that's true.
like when Angel's on, it's usually him but I want to boop.
Yeah, it's a fun time. We have fun here.
Yeah. Well, thanks for coming on, Tommy. We really appreciate you being
Yeah.
here.
Thanks for having me. And the story for the viewers and listeners at home is that I commented on the last episode and said, "Hey, dibs on being on the next one."
And it
now this is
happened.
the next one, and I'm on. So.
And I think you messaged me
Wanna be on-
afterwards, like a screenshot of you watching it.
Oh yeah. Something like that.
Right.
And that's how you got on. It's how I got on. So viewers at home, if you want to get onto any podcast ever, just say dibs on
Yeah,
being on
just
the
call
next
dibs.
episode, and any host, whether it's Kyle or Joe Rogan
There you go.
Or Critical Role.
or Critical Role, just say, hey, dibs on being on the next episode, and they legally have to let you on.
Right.
I don't even know how I got on this podcast.
What if we set that precedent? You know?
That's a terrible idea.
So if you want to be on a VTuber's next live stream to collaborate with Iron Mouse, like Maxor, you just got to call dibs.